If ever you have someone in your family who dies, if they don't bury them the same day, don't be too angry, yes? Because the son of Zahra lay on the ground for 3 nights with no one to bury his holy body. In my own personal life, I remember that the first time I was doing my research for Majalis, I had done my research of the Masa'ib for the first 10 nights. Then I wanted to do my research on Masa'ib for the nights after that. I will never forget when I came to the page that described how Zayn al-Abidin buried his father. I broke down. I remember the day until now. I broke down. I didn't want to continue because I never knew how they buried Imam al-Hussein. I had just begun giving majalis, and there was a part of me that wanted to see how did Imam get buried, yes? Because on the 10th of Muharram, he wasn't buried. 11th of Muharram, his family have been taken to Kufa. The 12th of Muharram, his family are in Kufa. So when did he get buried? The 13th of Muharram. Who buried the grandson of Rasulullah? Imam Zayn al-Abidin returned back to Karbala. Do you know there are many who don't know what took place when he buried his father? May Allah give you sabr when you hear. He came back to Karbala. When he came back, Banu Asad, many of their women were embarrassed from what had taken place in Karbala, that their men hadn't helped Imam al-Hussein. So Banu Asad, their ladies, what did they say? Their ladies turned around. What did they say? They said, our gentlemen, you were not at Karbala, but have respect for yourself. The grandson of Rasulullah lies alone on the ground. All of you get together and all of you go and bury him. The men decided that they would go to bury him. When they reached Karbala, they looked around. They wanted to bury the bodies, but they couldn't. Why? They didn't know which body belonged to whom. Yes? Because many of these bodies had no heads. Yes? The heads had been taken to Kufa. So they didn't know which body belongs to whom. So what happened? What happened was that they stood around. One looked at the other. Shall we bury the body? Shall we not bury the body? Until, subhanallah, from a distance, they saw a man walking to Karbala. Yes? And this man, when he was walking, they looked around. They wondered, who is he? He came nearer to them. And he said to them, what are you doing here? And they said, nothing, nothing. We had only just come to see what took place. He said, tell me, what are you doing here? They said to him, we came to bury the body of Hussein and the family of Hussein and the companions of Hussein. He said to them, then why haven't you buried the bodies? They said, we don't know which body belongs to whom. There's a body with no neck, there's another with no head, and there's a body of another with no arms. We don't know how to bury these bodies. He turned around to them. He said, I will guide you how to bury these bodies. He looked towards them. He said to them, go and dig 3 different graves. Yes? They looked towards him. They said to him, the first grave, who is it for? He said, the first grave is for Habib ibn Madahir. Bury him alone by himself. Allahu Akbar. Yes, Habib has his own grave in Karbala. Imagine how much Imam al-Hussein loved him. How much Al-Muhammad loved Habib. That in Karbala he has his own grave. He said, the second grave. They said to him, what do you want to do with the second grave? He said, put the family of my father Abu Abdullah into that second grave. They bought the family members. They placed them into that second grave. They said to him, how about the third grave? He said, the third grave, that grave is for whom? He said, the companions of my father. Go and put them all together in that grave. At that moment, they placed Habib in one grave. They placed the family in another. They placed the companions in another. Then all of a sudden he said, there's a body only I can bury alongside the angels. He began the walk towards the holy body of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. When he began the walk, he got closer to the body of Imam al-Hussein. He saw the finger of Abu Abdullah on the ground. Yes, because on the night of the 11th, someone had come. He wanted the ring of Rasulullah. He wanted to take the ring out. The ring wouldn't come out. So he chopped the finger of Imam al-Hussein. He saw the finger of Abu Abdullah on the ground. When he came near the body of Imam al-Hussein, it's a sunnah to turn the cheek of your father to the side when you bury him. Yes, in Islam, It's a sunnah that you turn the cheek to the side. He couldn't, because the head of his father wasn't on his body. At that moment, what did he do? He turned towards Banu Asad and he said to them, bring me a prayer mat. They wondered, why a prayer mat? They thought, Zayn al-Abidin, do you want to pray? He said, no, I want to gather the body parts of Abu Abdullah. Yes, he gathered the body parts of Imam al-Hussein. He fell on the body of Abu Abdullah. He began to cry on the body of the Imam. Yes, when he finished the burial of the body of his father, he was going in one direction. Banu Asad turned to him. They said to him, Ali ibn al-Hussein, there's a body by the Furat. Allahu Akbar. All of you know whose body? There's a body by the Furat. When we lift one side of it, the other falls on the ground. When we lift the other side, the other falls on the ground. He walked towards the body of Abul Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam. When he got closer, he called out, Ya Qamar Bani Hashim, Ya Abul Fadl. He began to collect the pieces of the body of Imam al-Hussein and of Abul Fadl. The narrations, what do they mention? That Sayyid Mahdi Bahr al-Ulum, when he came for the grave of Abul Fadl, he says, I was in charge of the rebuilding of the grave, of the reconstruction of the grave. He said, when we were reconstructing the grave of Abul Fadl, he says the builders, they were rebuilding the grave. Then they came to me one night. They said to me, said, Mahdi, we have a question to ask you. He said to them, what's the question? They said, Sayyidina, you say in your majalis that the feet of Abul Fadl used to touch the ground when he sat on a horse. He said to them, yes, it's in the hadith. They said, Maulana, we don't believe you. He said to them, why? He said, because when we saw his grave, we couldn't believe how small the grave was of Abul Fadl. Said Mahdi, what did he do? He began to cry. They said to him, why do you cry? He said, I wonder how much they chopped the body of Abul Fadl, that his grave was that small.